Find the approximate value of 1 divided by the square root of 3.92. The first thing to do is identify the x value that is being operated on. That will be x equals to 3.92. The second thing to do is to identify the function that is operating on that x value and call it f of x. Since we have 1 over the square root of 3.92, that means our function f of x is 1 divided by the square root of x. The third thing to do is to identify an a value near the x value of 3.92 that can easily be evaluated in the f of x. So we need something, since f of x involves the square root of x, that is a perfect square that's near 3.92. 4 is a perfect square. That's the choice for a. We can now find the linear approximation to f of x. In order to do that, we will need the derivative of f of x. So let's rewrite f of x as 1 over x to the first power second root. But even better than that, because the numerator is a constant, we can bring the denominator up to a negative exponent and rewrite this as x to the negative 1/2 times that 1. The 1 is implied, we don't need to write it. The derivative, f prime of x, will be a power rule. Bring down the power, leave the inside alone, subtract 1 from the power, I will call that 2/2, and then multiply by the derivative of the inside to complete the chain rule. The derivative of x is a 1. Negative 1/2 times a 1 is a negative 1/2, and then x raised to the minus 1 minus 2, which is minus 3 over the common denominator of 2. Since we have a negative exponent, this can be rewritten by moving it to the denominator and make it a positive exponent, giving us negative 1 over, the 2's already in the denominator, and x moves down to be a positive 3/2 power to help us evaluate this. The next thing to do is to evaluate f of x and f prime of x at the a value of 4. F of 4 will be 1 over the square root of 4, which is 1 over 2. F prime of 4 will be negative 1 over 2 times 4 raised to the 3/2 power. 3/2 power means to take the square root of 4 and then cube it. So we have negative 1 over 2 times the square root of 4, which is 2, and then cube that result, which gives us negative 1 over 2 times 2 cubed is 8. And overall this will become negative 1 over 2 times 8, which is 16. The formula for the linear approximation is L of x equals f of a plus f prime of a times x minus a. In this problem, a is a 4, so this becomes f of 4 plus f prime of 4 times x minus 4. We have values for f of 4 and f prime of 4 that can now be put into place. So the linear approximation will equal f of 4 is a 1/2 plus f prime of 4, which is a negative 1 over 16, plus a minus is the same thing as just simply minus 1 over 16 times that x minus 4. And there's our linear approximation formula. F of 3.92 can be approximated using L, evaluated at 3.92. F of 3.92 would be f of x with 3.92 placed in for x. That will give us a 1 over the square root of 3.92. And that'll be approximately equal to L of 3.92. We'll be plugging the 3.92 in for x on the L of x function, which will be 1/2 minus 1 over 16 times 3.92 minus 4, which gives 1/2 minus 1 over 16 times 3.92 minus 4 will be a negative 0.08. Now the 16 in the denominator and the 0.08 in the numerator are both divisible by 8. If we divide by 8, this becomes a 2 for the 16, and this becomes a 1 for the 0.08. It'll now be a 0.01. So this is now 1/2 minus 1/2 times a negative 0.01. Now the first 1/2 can be written as a 0.5, and then it'll be minus 1/2 times a negative 0.01, but the negative from there can move out front to make this positive. And this will equal 0.5 plus 1/2 of 0.01 will be 0.005. So that 1 over the square root of 3.92 is approximately equal to, adding those together gives 0.505. And there's the approximate value of 1 divided by the square root of 3.92.